Okay, let's try this again. David Garma, good evening. The question we're going to be asking today, and that is if you are a white criminal, can you depend on the police to treat you respectfully as opposed to minorities when you are accosted by the law? Now, we're obviously talking in regards to Jalen Walker. Good evening, Sugarnomics. That is a question we're asking. We did this on a lunchtime, but I wanted to make it more clear in the actual form. But the question we're asking is that if you are committing a crime, we're not talking about law abiding citizens. So for anyone who wants to bring up, well, such and such was doing nothing wrong and the police mistreated them, that is not what we're discussing here today. We are discussing folks who are actually in the commission of a crime, not following the law, not compliant. If you are in that situation and you happen to be Caucasian, can you reliably depend on police to treat you respectfully? You're pulled over, you take off running. Maybe you happen to fight with the police. Can you depend on them once they are actually able to catch up to you and put the cuffs on you to treat you with respect? And I'm asking this because folks are suggesting, particularly with Jalen Walker, the fact that he was shot multiple times. And no one, let's make it clear, no one in here is defending shooting anyone 60 times or firing 90 damn rounds at anybody. Good afternoon, Defend 3747. And Richard Halleck, you gotta subscribe in the box. Good evening to you. But that is the question we're asking. Good afternoon. And the box is open. I want you to tell me if you are a criminal in the commission of a crime and you happen to be Caucasian and they catch up to you, will they treat you with respect? Because the African American community is overwhelmingly suggesting otherwise. They're suggesting that when you're black and you're in a commission of a crime, you get treated harshly all the time. And when you're white and in a commission of a crime, you get treated with respect. The box is open. Let me know where we're getting that one wrong. So we'll go right off the what am I getting wrong on this? So John, what am I getting wrong on this? So John, good evening.
Hey,
Good afternoon to you.
what's up, man? Well,
Not
I
at
mean,
all.
I'm from New York, so I've
Okay.
come across black cops, white cops, Spanish cops, and one time I was driving to Pennsylvania and I got pulled over by a New Jersey uh, black state trooper. And he was the nicest guy in the world. He actually let me go.
So
Uh,
this was a black officer, and obviously you're Caucasian. You said he was very nice to you.
yeah, he was very polite. He's
Now
very
let me,
nice.
and that's an interesting point. Let me ask you this: when you really hear about police officers being accused of mistreating someone, it is two things that factor in. One, you almost never hear of a Caucasian person suggesting that a minority cop is mistreating them. And the second issue is it's almost always a male. You don't hear of many females being accused of misconduct. I believe Kim Potter in Minneapolis or in that area, and I think there was a woman down in Dallas that went into the wrong guy's apartment. But outside of that, why is it that you don't? Why do you believe? Because we're all speculating here. Why do you believe that it's you never hear of a white person complaining about a minority cop mistreating them, or no women seem to cross the line? What do you think is behind that?
Uh, well, I think you see the white people getting beaten by cops in an indirect way. So basically, you see that on social media when cops beat on white people, and then the media, in my opinion, elaborates the fact that like a white cop was beating on a black guy, where black cops beat on white guys and black guys. I mean, it's just the fact. Like, I wouldn't mess with a black cop because if he beats me up, I mean, it's you're still taking the chance of catching a beating, whether the guy's black or white or whatever, But and there's a lot of black guys that the cops treat with a lot of respect. I mean, I think if the person himself comes off nice to the police officer and they cooperate, they're gonna be okay. But then again, the media needs news. I mean, they need
Okay, so
attention.
let me ask you this question. Speaking of the media, are you aware of the Jalen Walker case?
How recent is that? No, I'm not.
June, June 27th. This is an African American in Akron, Ohio, that led the police on a high speed chase. Police allege that he fired one shot out of his vehicle while the
Mhm.
chase was in progress. And when they caught up to him, he sprang out of the car, even though they had the car surrounded, had him actually at gunpoint. 8 officers. He sprung out of the car, took off running. Police suggested they didn't know if he was armed or not. Said he
Mhm.
turned around like he was going to potentially harm them. They shot the man 60 times. They fired
Mhm.
90 rounds. He was hit apparently as many as 60 times. He did not take the firearm out of the vehicle. So I'm asking the question, if that same scenario happened, but Jalen Walker was a white guy, could
Mhm.
he have reliably depended on the police to have behaved differently?
Well, I mean, we could also ask another question. Would the media report that? Like if it was a
60
white guy?
times.
No, I know,
You're
but like
talking
has
about being shot 60 times. I think the
no,
media
that's
will
wrong.
report
No,
that.
I disagree with it. Yeah, definitely, I disagree with it.
Okay.
I mean, like because cops, you know, I mean, for something like that to happen, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, it's really like this. Even to think of that, it's pretty messed up. Like to think like, wow, they shot like that other one that was 42 times. They shot
Yeah.
the guy 42 times, and it happens a lot,
So do you
right?
think the media, do you think that, regardless of what you think about the media, what about the police? Do you think the police under that same circumstance would have treated Jalen Walker differently if he was white? The
I
fact
don't think
that you
so. I don't.
hesitate, the fact that you're hesitating is
Well,
telling.
because I don't want to get yelled at by everybody in the chat. There's a lot of people
Forget
that,
the chat. It's you and
yeah.
I. Don't look at your screen. It's you and I. What do you think?
Um, I think so. I mean, if I was running from the cops and I allegedly shot at them, this is what they claim, and then
Yeah,
I stopped. Now they're chasing me, right? They they
yeah,
they're all on the radio. He has a gun. He has a gun. He has a gun.
right.
Right.
Not only
So
does he have a
basically,
gun, he's already shot at us with it.
right. Okay. Yeah. He's fine. So now basically, what all these cops are thinking in their minds is they're all protecting each other from being shot. Right now, were there any black cops among those cops shooting at the black guy? Do
That's
you
a real
know?
good question. That's a really good question. I don't know that, but
Okay.
let's say they're all Caucasian. Do you think
Okay.
yourself would be treated differently if you'd done the exact same thing as the suspect in this case?
Uh, Possibly. Yeah. I don't see why. I mean, if the cops feel threatened or they're on that high adrenaline, you know, it's a possibility that they'll shoot anybody. If they
Okay,
feel
wait
like
a
they're
minute.
gonna,
I'm trying to. Okay, why do you? Okay, I asked you yourself, would you be treated differently if you led the police on a high speed chase and shot at them? You said possibly. I don't know. What would make? Why would you be treated differently? Is the question I'm asking.
well, because like you're asking a guy that anybody, right? Basically, that has never committed crimes or been
This
to
guy
jail,
had no criminal record. Jalen Walker, the deceased,
no
had
criminal
no
record.
criminal record.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's sad. I mean, it's tragic that he put himself in that situation, but
Okay.
he let them shoot at him like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think. I
But
don't think he had a lot of control over it at that point.
well, he's running. When you
Right.
run, you know what I mean? Like he's running. It's like when the cops put their sirens on, you got to stop. If you don't stop, they don't know what to think.
Okay. But you're suggesting that under that same circumstance, if you'd done the exact same thing, cops would treat you differently. Why is that?
No,
Why do you think that?
no. If I acted in the same manner as he did,
Yeah.
from start to finish, I probably would get shot as well.
Okay. All right. So you
Yeah.
don't think so? In other words, you don't think they would treat you differently?
No.
Okay,
No.
fair enough. That's all I was trying to get at because I was trying to show you the scenario and just see where your mindset was at. So let me ask you this question. Well, without you knowing about the actual case, it does make it a little troublesome. But I guess the point is, for the most part, if a this is the question I'm asking for the program, if a Caucasian, because a lot of African Americans believe the cops treat them differently, but we're talking about folks that are in the commission of a crime, not someone walking through the wrong neighborhood or something. But if you're actively committing a crime, do you believe the cops will treat a Caucasian person more respectfully than an African American that is actively committing crimes? We're not talking about law-abiding citizens here. We're
Yeah.
talking about people
Criminals.
committing a felony.
I don't see why they would.
Okay.
I mean, I think cops kill more white people. I think there's a couple of statistics out there that all cops, forget about their nationality, color, whatever, we want to categorize them as, but white and black cops kill white people too. Cops, yeah. I mean, I think they say more white people are killed by cops than black people. Naturally, there's more white people out there than in the population than there is black people. So the percentages are, should be higher. But yeah, more white people are probably shot more. Have been shot more than.
Well, when you factor in America is about 60% white and 12 to 15% black, you would, based on those population numbers, they should be shooting a lot more white people. Am I correct?
Well, I understand that they do. How
Okay.
much more? I don't know. But
Yeah.
I understand they do because they're all white guys that are stupid. They'll
Yeah.
go out, they'll sell a dime bag, and start shooting and think that you know what I mean. There's just stupid people out there. And
Okay.
you can't even say you could even say like even some black people like they just stupid. White
All
people,
right.
they just stupid. They put themselves in. You get yourself locked up. I mean, I value my freedom,
So do
so
I.
I'd rather right. Like
So
I
do I.
value my freedom. Like I'll do anything to stay out of jail, even if I have like I don't care. I'm not gonna go to jail or what I mean. Like I know a guy on my job. Somebody did something to his daughter, and he actually killed the guy. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? And he got out of jail 10 years later. But I mean that's that's all in his mind. He would have ratted gotten caught, went to jail, than have and his daughter lived. The girl alive. Like the guy didn't kill her. So
Okay.
why would you go kill the guy? You know what I mean? But people just do
Yeah.
stupid things.
All
And
right.
then the
Fair enough.
media, yeah, then the media needs news.
Well, we
They
know how
need
to.
they need news.
Yeah, I agree with you on how the media operates. They have an agenda. But listen,
Yeah.
I got to move the program on. I got other folks coming through. I
Oh, okay,
appreciate
pal.
you coming through and giving me your
Thank you,
opinion, man.
sir. Great
All
show.
right,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're always welcome back. Okay, moving the program. I'm asking if you are Caucasian and you are actively committing a felony, let's take out of the mix folks who were accosted by the law who were doing nothing wrong. We're not here to talk about Sandra Bland. We're not here to talk about Breonna Taylor and those type of individuals. Your humble correspondent, your host, I agree in that situation, in those types of situations. So we're not even here to debate folks who are not currently in commission of breaking the law. We're talking about folks who are actively committing violations, actively committing felonies, running from the law, not complying, and fighting back. Does being Caucasian guarantee under those circumstances that you will be treated with respect? That is the question we're asking. Going back to the box, I cannot pronounce his name, but let's make coward shoots a man in the back. Okay, good afternoon.
Hello, how you doing? What's up? I'm a big fan
I'm
of you.
doing good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, when it comes to this topic, I think when it comes to like the cops in general, to give
Sorry about that. Can
Um,
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I feel
Okay,
like
go ahead.
they give those who they look more like, because being a police officer is white dominated, so they give those that look like them, then look like their community, they give them more chances, a benefit of doubt before they blow them away.
Yeah, but and that's a fair point. But I'm talking about folks who are actively committing a felony. If you're actively involved in running or fighting back, there's no need to give you the benefit of the doubt. You are currently committing a crime. So you're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not up to no good. They're doing it in your faith. So I'm asking you about folks like that.
Okay. Well, I can do like case by case. I've seen plenty of videos of white people holding guns to police officers, holding knives and not getting gunned down. Stuff like giving multiple circumstances like that. I don't think running it warrants you being and we really don't know, because if he actually shot at the cops, I mean, or not, because police have a long history of um being untrustworthy with their reports and whatnot.
Right.
um we don't know if he was fumbling the gun, trying to hide it, and accidentally let a shot off. We really don't know the circumstances of it. um I I don't think he deserved to get shot down like that.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Now, the police alleged that he was running away at high speed in the vehicle. I'm going to break this down, and I want to see where you and the police differ. First, let's take the fact that the police claim he took them on a high speed chase. Do you believe he did that?
Yes.
Okay. The police alleged that while in that chase, he fired a shot out of his vehicle. Do you believe he did that?
Uh, I would need more evidence of that, because if he did fire, why would he only fire one time? Um, it's many circumstances, and obviously he's not allowed to tell his side of the story. We don't know if he was fumbling the gun and
Right.
trying to hide it and get, actually
Well,
let a shot off.
in regards to why you would fire one time, which is a legitimate question, if you are running from the police or anyone for that matter, you may fire a warning shot just to let them know you mean business. It may not be, I mean, because you're not gonna be able to strike someone with any efficiency while you're actively driving a vehicle and the person is behind you. So, I mean, I suppose you could make a sharp turn, such as Will Smith on, Bad Boys, where he takes a sharp turn and fires out the window. But in real life, that's almost impossible to do. So the only reason why anyone would fire out of a vehicle while they're actually driving is just to let the person know they mean business. You're not going to hit anyone. You
That's
get that point?
I get that point, but I'm a little bit skeptical, because it's people that fire outside guns all the time in there. Some of them are accurate, and if they really want to hit something, they can hit something.
Well,
You know,
people. You've heard of people actually firing at someone behind them and hitting that person while driving.
well, not hitting that while they were driving, but maybe passing by a
Okay.
certain area and hitting them. Um,
You can do,
my
yeah, you can be successful at a drive-by. You got targets standing in one spot, but generally when you're doing a drive-by, even if you're driving, you're aiming right at the target. Oh, different ball game when the person is behind you and you're trying to drive a vehicle and you're trying to shoot somebody behind you. I can't see how you possibly be able to do that accurately.
I agree with you. Um,
Okay.
my only other question is, people are saying the gun was found in the vehicle.
That is
Now,
true.
if he had malice intentions with that gun, why did he not step out the car with that gun?
Well, and that's a good question, but at the end of the day, are we holding the cops accountable for knowing his gun was in the car as opposed to on him when he jumped out?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They should have assessed the situation further, other than just say, well, he's moving
Well, when
fast.
you got a guy, okay, here's the point I'm making. When you got a guy that's led you on a high-speed chase, you believe, regardless of what folks in the audience or yourself believe, the call came out of the radio that he took a shot out the window. So every person that's following him is going to believe that call over the radio, whether it's true or
Okay.
not. So when you got a guy that you all have surrounded at gunpoint, it's already been called over the radio that he's taking a shot at a cop. So you already know he's willing to shoot. And he jumps out of the car and starts running. What situation can you assess to realize if he got a gun or not?
It's not really to assess if he has a gun or not. It's really. I feel like, I don't know. Even with that, I feel like they could have assessed if he, he might have been going through some mental issues, some problems. He might have had no intentions of hurting anyone with that said gun. And obviously he didn't, because, he would have hopped out the car or continued driving with the gun.
How long do you think it would take for the police to, let's say, for instance, he was going through some mental issues like you're suggesting, and he was not going to harm the police at all. When he sprang out of that car and started running, how long do you believe it would take to assess that he's going through some mental issues and he means no harm?
I think it goes from situation to situation. It depends.
Okay, let me ask you this then. When he jumped out of the car, let's say he was armed, he was not going through any mental issues, and he absolutely wanted to do harm. How long would it take for him to turn around and fire?
Probably a second or two.
Okay, so that's all they have. In other words, to determine whether he's going through mental issues and he means no harm versus him turning around and firing, you're admitting that they have maybe a second or two to make that decision, correct?
That's true.
Okay, so you do understand how a mistake could easily be made in a situation like that when the man ignored orders and just jumped out of his car.
Yes, I see it from both points, from both sides.
Okay. So let me ask you this way. Do you believe Jayland Walker himself holds any responsibility for what happened to him that night?
Of course he holds responsibility. Okay. I just don't think the choices he made warranted a death sentence.
Okay. All right.
I've seen people do worse.
You do admit based on the choices he made, he left the officers with only a second to decide, a second or two, I think what you said. He left the officers based on his own actions with only a second or two to decide whether he was safe or a deadly threat.
That's true.
Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, I agree with you. They didn't have much reaction time, but again, I've seen people do way worse, and they're not gunned down like that. I think there's a real issue with police in general. So,
okay. And let me ask you this question: how long? I don't know how old you are, but I would ask the question: how long throughout your period of life, and I'm assuming you're an adult, how long have you realized that the police are the way you just suggested? Where they sometimes are not transparent. They don't always tell the truth. How long do you believe you've known that?
Well, just from my personal dealings with police, I back when I didn't have any criminal record, it wasn't good. I was always assumed to be a criminal, or assumed to be the aggressor in the situation. But I didn't do anything. Like for one instance, I got my window smashed out when I was like 18, 19. Because I was dating a Spanish chick and her brother was racist. And the cop tells me when he gets to the scene, he's like, "Well, what'd you do to piss him off?" I was like, "I didn't do nothing. I just dated his sister. That's all I do." He's like, "Well."
So it goes back to my question. How long do you feel like you have known yourself personally that cops may look at us differently or treat us differently?
I start to realize it back probably like nine years ago when I was like 17. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So in your case, that's actually fairly late. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of us have had our parents have that talk with us while we were in elementary school. So for you finding out at 17, yeah, that's fairly late. But let me just say this. based on what you know, at least since the age of 17, you would have to admit, knowing that the cops already view us differently, Jalen Walker's actions were downright ridiculous.
That's true. I
Yeah,
agree.
okay. That's the point I'm trying to make it, as opposed to suggesting that when you do all of the stuff Jalen Walker did, you should be treated with respect. Going in knowing that they're not going to do that anyway,
Exactly.
you'd have to wonder what would make him do that.
You're 100% right.
Yeah,
100% right.
yeah.
I
All
can't even
right,
argue
fair
with
enough.
you.
Well, yeah, well, I appreciate you coming through regardless. You're always welcome back. I got to move it on as usual, though. All right. Okay, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Good call, by the way. That's the point I'm trying to make is that if, for those in the audience that are suggesting that cops do not treat African Americans right, or cops are biased towards us, or cops would treat us differently than a white person, why would you expect someone under Jalen Walker circumstances to get, I mean, if you're going to suggest that they treat you wrong just driving down the street, driving while black, you'd have to realize putting them in a car chase at high speed while wearing a ski mask in the middle of the night is going to absolutely get you treated worse. So I'm trying to figure out where is the mindset here. You know, we're essentially arguing that if I lead the police on a high speed chase and I shoot at the police and I jump out of the car and take off running, God damn it, I want respect. I want you to treat me fairly. That is literally the hill we're fighting to get validity, equality on. Is that I want to be able to be like Jalen Walker and be treated respectfully. I am here to state that there's no way I'm going to pretend like there are not a sufficient amount of African Americans that are mistreated by police. And I'll go to the box in a minute. And I need 5,000 likes. As always, my content is premium. Tap your screen, get your boy 5,000 likes. You know how it works. But I'm just going to suggest we've all had to talk with our parents. Certainly if you're African American, hell, even a lot of white folks have had to talk. Their parents have told them how to react, how to be respectful. Yes, sir, no, sir. So based on what Jalen Walker did, which would go against the talk that all of us, particularly African Americans, would go against the talk that we have all received from our parents. Why is he the one we're using as a defense about how bad cops treat us? He went against his own mother's instructions. You would have to assume Jalen Walker in Akron, Ohio got the same talk from his mom as we all got. He didn't even listen to his own mom. Got to go back to the box. Let me see if a white wearing ski mask, high speed would probably get shot. Okay, TD Woke, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, tell me where I'm getting it wrong, man.
Where you're getting it wrong at, my brother, is
Yes, sir.
Understandably. 60 shots is running from the police is a
We're not
defending.
defending. Yeah, the 60 shots is damn right ridiculous. We're not arguing
Okay,
whether he was shot excessively. I agree with that. It was ridiculous, but go ahead.
So running from the police is a death sentence for a black man in this country now? That's the bar we're setting?
No, what about running and shooting at him while you're running?
How can they said that was a firework? Have y'all went back and did your own due diligence? They're claiming they can't find no bullet shells or nothing. We all do know it was the 4th of July, right?
Okay, well, the police are suggesting, in regards to what happened that day, they're suggesting that he shot at him. Now, if you want to say the investigation afterwards, with Monday morning quarterbacking abilities, has went back and said it was a firework, we can talk about that. Folks disagree with that too, but I'm not going to argue that. I'm saying during the course of this particular event, there was no claim that it was a firework. It went on the air as he had shot at them.
You lose the benefit of the doubt when you empty your clip 90 times and shoot a man on the ground who's already dead. You don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. So based on what you saw, I guess the first question I would ask you is, do you believe Jalen Walker did anything wrong at all?
At the end of the day, absolutely, he should have obeyed the law. He should have pulled over and definitely obeyed the law. I understand that 100%. I'm not trying to get around that.
Okay.
But the end result is I mean, come on, man. And think about this. You're driving the car on a high-speed chase from the police. You got time to stop, slow down, stick your left hand out the window, and shoot a gun backwards. How much sense do that make? Like, where are we at in America today?
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't think running from the police makes a lot of sense. And I certainly will argue that, and like I said, I'm not defending the guy getting shot 60 damn times. That's insane. But when you got 8 cops all aiming firearms at you, yelling instructions, and you decide to disobey all of that and take off running into the night, you would have to assume there may possibly be a round or two following you. Does that make sense at all?
No, not at all. Because if I'm fleeing, why am I trying to hurt you if I'm fleeing?
Yeah, but if I got a gun at you, I obviously think you already are a threat. So you're
Where
gonna
was
just take off and run right at me. I mean, what am I
what?
supposed to do? Just
He
stand
didn't run.
aside and hope you're harmless? You could have a
He
knife,
didn't
you could
run.
have anything.
He didn't
Go
run
ahead.
at them. He ran away from them.
No, if you look at the video, they are on all sides of the car. I believe he escapes out of the passenger side of the car, if I'm
And he
correct.
ran to green grass like a football player would. Who would?
Yeah, but it's
How are
also,
you escaping if you're running towards him? Like, it doesn't make sense.
wait a
So
minute,
he
say
was
that again.
running to go to them.
You don't know. That's the problem. You don't know what he's doing. All you know is that he is trying to get away or trying to fight back or doing anything he can not to listen to you. You don't know what he's doing because he's not doing anything you're telling him to do.
And I totally understand that. But again, black men in this country running is a death sentence. That's the bar we're setting.
How
Look at the
long?
kid
I'm
in
gonna ask you the same.
Chicago.
I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked the previous caller. How long have you known that running from police is a death sentence?
Man, when I was a kid, I ran from the police all the time. Never got killed. I'm still here. I ran from them all the time. All the time.
Okay. Well, I would advise that's a bad thing to do because, and I
I mean, as you
understand you.
older, you understand that. As I got older and maturity hit, I understand that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to rationalize in any shape, form, or fashion, but in my day and time, you can run from the police. Things have got abundantly worse through time.
Okay. So, do you believe that Jalen Walker has any responsibility for what happened to him?
What does I mean? See, you sitting here,
In other
which
words,
used to be a.
were you a police
Jalen
officer
Walker
at some
himself.
point in time? Say that
Were you a
again.
police officer? Were you a police officer at some day and time? At some point in time?
Never.
Wow.
I'm asking the reason I'm asking you, do you believe Jalen Walker has any responsibility to clarify is it possible Jalen Walker, when he was dealing with the police, could have done anything to prevent himself from being shot?
Man, at this day and age, it's a flip of a coin if you're a black man driving now. My son is on his way to
How many
college
black
to play
men?
football
How many
scholarship.
black men in the? Okay, wait a minute. So you think that just simply driving in abiding by the law as a black man in America, you still have a very high chance of a cop just coming up and shooting and killing you?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't watch the YouTube videos where cops is telling people, "Oh man, you get murdered for that." And man, it's out here. I'm not gonna turn my head to reality. It's out here.
And I'm not asking you to. I'm just simply trying to get where your mindset is, just like the viewers. The point, I guess, the question I would ask, if you had to guess, how many African Americans do you know that actually drive?
Just about everybody I deal with in my circle.
How many in your circle have been killed doing nothing wrong while driving? Because you said it's a high likelihood that just simply driving and not committing a crime, you could be killed for being black. So, I mean, I would assume if you know a lot of black drivers, you should definitely know some folks that have been murdered.
Yeah, I know a girl that's been killed where I'm from, who got killed by the cops unjust. Uh, but think about this: how many calls have the police came for minor situations when it's an African American involved, and then they end up dead? You got police coming in Rochester, New York. The police came for a mental health call. They put a bag over a man's face and killed him for mental health.
Okay.
In North Carolina last week, they say they talked a woman down for an hour and then she mysteriously ended up being dead. Now, why are we not seeing black police killing white kids at this rate?
Well, and that's a really
Is it the
good
black cops
question.
got all the
If I,
restraint?
okay, well, no. First of all, I would contend. First of all, there is disproportionately far more white cops. One main reason being is that from our particular culture and our disagreements with police, we don't even think it's cool to become a cop. If you tell
Absolutely.
your
I
friends in the
agree.
hood, I'm about to become a cop, folks treat you like you're a sellout. So you're not going
Absolutely. I
to
agree.
get, and I say this often because anytime you see one of these controversial shootings, it's often in the hood and it's nothing but white officers. And that's my first response is with all these black people around, why are all the cops white? And the problem is we don't like becoming police officers. So we leave ourselves at the mercy of their policing. That could change if more African Americans applied for the job, but it is so uncool, and you are ostracized so much by your own community that at the end of the day, we get policed by white people.
No, no. I mean, that's a fact, and I'm not going to even try to circle around that. They ostracize people yeah, you're right. They make it like it's a black eye thing to be a police growing up in there. That's because all of the tyranny and the cowboy shit we see every day with these people. But
But
let's
that would be
still talk. Let's
wouldn't that be
still
a
talk
really good?
facts though. Let's still talk facts though.
Okay,
Black
I'm
officers
trying.
are
Okay,
pulling over white kids. Now, just because we don't have as much white officers as black officers as white officers, there are still black officers pulling over white kids for far less, and they are not getting murdered.
are the white kids saying the same thing you did? I used to run from police all the time. Do you routinely see black cops having a foot chase with a bunch of white kids?
Yeah, I'm one person out of billions. You think
So is
every black
Jalen
you
Walker.
hold on, you
So is
think
Jalen
every black
Walker.
person is running from the cops? Don't
Okay,
put me in
no,
the box.
no.
Don't put
I'm
me in the
asking you
box
the
and then
question.
put everybody else in the box with them.
Okay, but I'm asking you the question. You suggested that black cops are not beating up white kids, and I'm asking you: is there a lot of white folks seen on television, seen on the media, or seen anywhere running from black cops? Do you often see that?
I, this doesn't make any sense. You have black people who are law-abiding citizens that are getting the grunt. It's not the runners who's being murdered. It's not the runners who's being beat. They're pulling grandmothers, black grandmothers out of their household, out of cars, going to
Okay.
houses with no warrants, murdering people in the middle of the night. They're sleeping. They're not running. So
Okay,
don't put
let me.
every black
Okay,
person in a box
okay,
like black people is the only people that run from the police. That
okay.
don't make sense.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're. Let me go back to where I was because that's why I posted this on the screen. The question I originally asked was, do police treat folks who are in the commission of a crime? You're going back to innocent folks. I've already conceded that when you look at the way African Americans are treated, driving while black, stop and frisk, all of that stuff are real claims. I'm not denying
Okay,
that.
okay,
But and you're
okay.
turning the conversation back to police mistreating folks who are doing nothing wrong.
No,
I'm
because
talking about
you
criminals,
turned it
folks
to
who are actively
running. Like,
committing
I don't know.
crimes.
I can't tell you what the white community kids is doing when they interact with the police, but I can tell you one thing: they're not all innocent because it just don't work like that. It's white
Okay,
crime out here.
and that's a fair point. But the reason I'm trying to get across to you, you look at the guy who went into the supermarket in Buffalo and shot up a bunch of
I'm
African
from
Americans.
Buffalo, New York. I'm from Buffalo.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not where I'm going with it. But you look at the guy who went in the supermarket and shot up a bunch of African Americans with an AR-15. Or you look at the guy who just killed 7 paraders or folks watching a parade in Highland, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Both white folks. Both of those, Buffalo shooter and the guy in Highland Park, their arrests were caught on video. Look at how they reacted when the cops had to drop on them and was ordering them to comply, and compare that to Jayland Walker. You don't think that what Jayland Walker did had anything to do with his outcome versus those mass murderers?
I never said his actions didn't bring about his murder.
Okay.
I'm not saying.
That's what I asked you. That's what
No,
I
I'm
asked
not.
you.
I'm not
I asked
saying
you,
that
was he
because
responsible? I asked
I
you, was he
don't. I don't know
responsible
if
for his
he. I
outcome?
don't know. I can tell you one thing from what I have gathered. That I have gathered that kid only had a parking ticket in his life. To be 25 and come from the community we come from, and all you can muster up is a parking ticket, and you get murdered while working, and then everybody else forget one thing. Ohio is an open carry state, so he is allowed to have a gun. But if you're black, maybe not. Just like they murdered the kid right here in a Westerville hospital. I mean, if you're black, maybe you're not allowed to have a gun, a legal gun. Look at the guy from Minnesota, Philando Castile. Excuse me if I'm saying his name wrong. The guy who was coming from school working all of his
But
kids.
once again, you're going back to somebody who was not actively committing a crime. I'm talking about folks caught in the middle of committing crimes. I understand that there are plenty of African Americans disproportionately being treated improperly by police simply for being
So
black.
how,
I'm not arguing that point. I'm arguing the point that folks are suggesting that if you're white and you're actively committing a felony, the police will treat you with respect. That's what we're here
I can
talking
show
about.
you. I can show you a plethora of videos where white people is blatantly chasing the police. The police running from them, throwing rocks at their cars while they're sitting in their car. Have you not looked in YouTube
Have you
recently?
never seen
Google it.
have you never seen a Black Lives Matter protest? They do the same thing. I get your point,
I'm not
but there are
talking
plenty of
about a protest. I'm not talking about a
I'm talking
protest.
about
I'm
crime.
talking about on the streets, walking around, disrespecting the cop, telling him he gonna get his gun and shoot him, and he's still unalive.
Okay, let's take what you said. A person is walking the street, disrespecting the cop,
Black
throwing
Lives
shit at
Matter don't speak for the black community.
That ain't what I'm asking you. That ain't what I'm just simply saying. Let's take what you said. A person chasing the police, throwing things at them, whatever the case may be. If you're at a protest and you do the same thing, does that not warrant the same crime?
It does, but at a protest, you can be a little more tolerant. I'm pretty sure they tell their officers you can be a little more tolerant. You're not looking to murder nobody when there's 50 cameras out there. Are you kidding me?
If you are a cop,
So hold
if
on.
you are a
What I
cop, you
gather
don't
from
care.
this is I sit
Go
here
ahead.
and tell you something, and then you just justify for the white community. You make up a
You
whole
tell-
justification. Oh, you bring. I say a white person throwing rocks at the cop car. You bring the black people at a protest. Why can't the white motherfuckers who throwing the rocks be responsible as well?
Okay, I'm just simply
Come
pointing
on, brother.
out.
Trump got y'all all crazy, man. He
I'm
the
not
biggest
MAGA.
gangster
I
in the
am not
world.
MAGA. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to part ways with you, but I'll give you the last word. I just want to say this: when you bring up that white folks are throwing things at cops, chasing the cops, talking shit to cops, and then I bring up that black folks get away with it at protests, you suddenly say, "Well, I'm not talking about protests." I'm just simply saying,
So
if you are,
white people don't get away with it
I'm gonna
at
give you.
protests?
Wait a minute. I'm gonna give you the last word, but let me just say
Okay,
this: if you
go ahead,
are
my
a
brother. Go ahead.
police
Say what you
officer.
gotta say.
If you are a police officer and somebody is throwing rocks at you or threatening you, you don't care if it's one person standing by themselves or a protest. Your life is equally in danger. You got the last word. Go.
So why do the black person always get murdered when the rock is thrown and not the white person?
I don't know about too many folks just simply throwing a rock. I mean, how many times has that happened? There's a lot of blacks that threw rocks at police. How many blacks have been killed for throwing
I'm
a
not
rock
just
at a cop?
specifically talking about throwing rocks. Why don't you go look at the YouTube videos And then we were
Okay.
talking the other day. You tell me if that justifies a cop defending himself. Somebody telling him he's about to go get his gun, and he still don't get shot. You tell me
Okay.
you tell me if a
I
black person can get away with that. It was a
okay.
pleasure talking to you, though, my brother. No matter what your view is or mine is, respect that.
Absolutely.
Have
Always
a blessed
good. You're
one.
always welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. Looking at the comments here. And like I said, folks, I understand that what I'm saying is not going, everybody's not going to agree with this shit, particularly my own damn culture. I sound like a sellout. Uncle Ruckus. What else? What are the other terms you guys call me? And by the way, I'm not MAGA. So I said Trump got y'all crazy. It ain't got nothing to do with Trump. But I understand that having this point of view that if you do not follow the law, it can get you killed, makes a lot of African Americans point to other folks who have not followed the law and lived. My only argument is do not break the law to begin with, and you don't have to have this conversation. Now, then you begin pointing to the obscure examples of somebody who didn't break the law and got killed anyway. I would contend to you, regardless of how you feel about police, regardless of how many racist departments exist, and Eric Holder under President Obama proved there are plenty of racist departments out there, your chances of surviving a police encounter increase substantially by simply following the law. If you believe the police are already racist, already mistreat black people, you have to understand you're putting yourself at a great disadvantage by not complying and following the law. Just understand that it's like saying I know a lion will kill me if I get near the lion, and then walking near the lion and saying, well, he should have gave me a pass. It doesn't make sense to me. But the box is loaded, and that is where I happen to be going. We'll go with Melissa to start it out. I don't get it. That's all I'm saying is I don't get it. Okay, Melissa, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, I'm just going to speak on this case because I don't feel the same way about every case, but particularly this case. I'm actually from Ohio.
Okay.
Akron is majority black residents. Facts of the case, this young man lost his wife last month in an accident. Family friends said he's been very erratic since then. The night prior to this incident, he was pulled over. He ran from the police, got away because it went through a residential area, so they had to call off the chase.
So you're saying Jalen Walker had ran from police the night before?
The night before, yes. They put an ATV out on the vehicle. And then when they obviously got him, they tried to pull him over for the taillight or whatever. And because of the night before, that was why they tried to pull him over the night before, was the taillight. He did shoot out the window. There was a casing found in the floorboard of his vehicle. The police, when they actually finally got him and he jumped out the passenger seat.
I'm going to let you continue, but let me ask you this, because I've seen it in the comments already. How do you know this? Where did you hear this from?
You can actually pull up the dockets right on the website of the Akron Police Department in the courthouse.
Okay. Now, the obvious response is going to be that they don't trust the police are telling you truth, because what you're reading is actually police testimony. But go ahead.
And again, I get that. I 100% get that. But I love you too, bud. Be careful. The fact that he actually jumped out the passenger seat, the police, it's not their job to know or to guess or to assume if he was going to shoot at them or not. They know he shot out the window a few minutes prior. That's all they can go off of. Ohio did turn into open carry last month. 2 police officers were shot in the head the day that the law went into effect. So all police officers are going to be on guard. I get it.
Not that it's right. You can't treat citizens a certain way based on something that happened from a different citizen.
I 100% agree with it. I agree with that. But when he jumped out of the vehicle and they say he went running away, the police didn't know if he had the gun and was running away. In a split-second decision, they have to make decisions that's best for not only themselves, the community as well. And
what about the number of shots?
I don't agree with that at all. Okay. I don't agree with that. But I will say there was 12 officers, 8 that shot. Each gun holds 15 bullets. So they didn't empty their entire clips on this young man, but I don't agree with the amount.
One of them is on video reloading, though.
That's what I heard too. And I did see the ceasefire But obviously that's going to be hard to hear when all the bullets are going off. I don't agree with the amount of shots at all. I think it was definitely overkill. But again, I have to pull the perspective in as each officer, when they're shooting, they're not looking at what 7 other officers are doing. They're looking at what they're doing, and they're trained to empty, which they needs to change.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally think that needs to change.
Let me ask you this question. I asked this before, and I'm gonna ask the folks in the audience. Let's take away what is outraging almost all of us, and that is the 60 shots. I don't think anyone thinks that that's legitimate. Let's
No.
say that based on everything that happened, the totality of the circumstances, the cops shot Jalen twice. Only 2 shots was fired. Maybe he lost his life, maybe he didn't. Based on what I'm just suggesting here, yes or no, would those 2 shots be justified? 2 shots, not 90. Say he was
As
shot
hard as-
twice based on what happened. Go ahead.
As hard as it is for me to even